Welcome to another interview for our Charity Bounce Women's Panel Week. I'm Ebony. I both play and coach basketball, and I'm currently coaching with Charity Bounce at the moment. And today, I'm interviewing a basketball player who not only plays in the Women's NBL 1, but also won the Shoot Like Steph three-point contest in Melbourne. Zoe Zwerling. How are you feeling today, Zoe?
I'm feeling good. Happy to be doing this.
That's great. All right, let's get into those questions. So, when did you start playing basketball?
I started when I was little. I played every sport a little bit, but I started basketball at age 7, I think.
That's nice. And how did that stick out among the other sports? Like, why was that the sport that you chose among the other ones?
It sounds a little corny, but I think it was just like love at first sight kind of thing. Like, I loved playing sports. I played soccer and football and baseball and everything, but basketball just like really stuck. It was just so fun.
Yeah, I understand that too. I was the same. I played a few sports, but basketball, that was the one. So
It hits different. It just hits.
yeah, it hits different. So I saw that you played basketball for the Northeastern women's basketball team in Boston. Can you tell us a bit about your experience and how was it different playing there and how did you benefit from that?
Yeah, so I grew up in the States, obviously from the accent, but I'm a dual citizen, so that's why I came out to Australia now to play. College basketball, I think anyone who's played college basketball, any division really, but like it's just a different beast. Like it really becomes your whole life because you're living there on campus, you're playing basketball, they kind of have control over your whole schedule. There's meetings and rehab and lifts and practice and travel for games. Like it really can get overwhelming at times, but it's also like the give and take. Like you wouldn't have it any other way, but it is very intense.
Yeah, sounds like it, but I think it's definitely worth it if you love basketball. So
yeah, and it definitely provided a lot of big life learning experiences because it was so challenging, which I'm grateful for.
That's great. So I heard or saw that you won the Shoot Like Steph three-point contest in Melbourne, hosted by Under Armour, Curry Brand, and Charity Bounce, and won $10,000. And you were against.
It was a fun day.
Yeah. I saw the Instagram stories. I'm like, damn, I wish I was there, but it's all right. It's all right. You were against all the guys who were great shooters as well. So how does it feel that you won against everyone else as a female athlete?
That part of it was actually, obviously the whole day was super fun and it was a really great and well-run event. But that part of it was especially fun because because how it worked, there was a bunch of different rounds. And then I was like leading, going into the final round, all that stuff. But I had like random little kids and random girls and people being like, oh, we want you to win. Like the only girl in the thing, they're really excited about it. So then when I did beat all the boys, because there was not a single other female participating, like a couple of young, like 8-year-old girls I saw were there, but I was the only girl in the actual competition, which I thought was surprising because girls can shoot.
Yeah.
We can do anything. We can shoot the hell out of the ball. It probably helped me, to be honest, that it was just me and a bunch of boys.
Yeah, I understand that. As a girl, every time I play girls, I'm like, hey guys, girls can shoot. Just remember that. And then I've always, as playing as well, I've always been the only girl, and I'm always like, damn, where's all the other girls? But it's how it is sometimes, unfortunately.
I think girl hoopers all share that experience of like, there's been plenty of times where I've been the only girl in the gym and having to, represent a little bit, playing with a bunch of dudes.
Yeah, definitely. Even for me at the start of Charity Bounce, the Breakfast Club, I was the first girl among all these guys who were really great. And then finally, eventually girls started joining, but At the start, I was the only one. It was a bit nerve-wracking, but it was all right. It was pretty fun.
Yeah, then you get comfortable with it, then it's fine.
Yeah. I have 4 brothers, so boys have actually been more comforting for me than girls sometimes because
That's
I
your
don't
norm.
really have a sister, but yeah. But it's all right. So, as a woman in sport, what sort of struggles have you encountered in your career?
As a woman specifically?
Yeah. Or you can
Like stuff
talk about
related
your
to that?
struggles not related to that or related to that. It's up to you.
No, that's a very good question. I'm not sure that any of it is so. I've never had a really like standout moment where I was treated poorly for being a female or anything like that. But I think it's more that the culture of it is a bit different. Like obviously women's sports and women's basketball is way younger, and we always kind of have to remember that. Like it's actually come a super long way, and compared to how it used to be is grown and is huge, because women used to not even play basketball at all, and now we're, you know, there's famous athletes and making money. They're not making anything compared to the men, but like comparatively we're working our way up. But it's probably been more subtle things like that, where the women's program is just never as big as the men's program at the same school, or maybe we don't get the benefit of the doubt as much, or times where like I go play pickup with a bunch of boys and they put the most tiny scrub dude to guard me because they assume that I can't play basketball. You know what I mean? Like little stuff like that, but it's kind of become the norm. You almost don't notice those things anymore, like expected.
Yeah, I understand that too. I remember going to the park sometimes. They'll put, I don't know, some guy who can't play basketball. I'm like, okay. Then they won't even defend me properly. I'm like, okay, I'm just going to score on you then. Then they're like, oh, crap, she can actually play. Oh, now we got to play defense on her. But yeah, it's come a long way.
And that is like the norm for female hoopers. For those who don't know, that is the life of female hoopers. You're trash until proven otherwise.
Yep. Although there was like in lockdown, I did go to a park a few times and they actually defended me properly straight away. And I was like, oh my gosh, that's like all I've wanted for so long. Just play defense properly just because I'm a girl. I don't care if you block me. You can try, but
I always tell guys, because I have some guy friends that I train with or play with or whatever, and I get mad at them. Like if I go up and I think they could have blocked it or hit me or something, I'll get mad at them. Like I'm like, block that. What are you doing? Like don't play me differently. Like if you beat me 21-0, then do that. I don't want the disrespect.
Yeah, I mean the exact same. I have a friend, they're like, I don't want to hurt you. I'm like, it's basketball. Just play like you would play and I'll get stronger.
Hurt
like
him first.
What? Oh my gosh. Although my brothers, they didn't care about hurting me. I can say that. So I think they helped.
They'll hurt you.
Element. Yeah. They don't care.
They'll hurt you. They don't care.
Yeah. So thankful for them for making me a lot stronger when I was younger and not caring about hurting my feelings or anything. For other people, they need to step up.
We got to treat you the same way they would treat other guys.
That's how it should be at the start in anything. But yeah, back to the questions. How do you deal with these issues that you face as a female athlete in a male-dominated sport? I know you mentioned already that you haven't faced any situations where it's really skewed in one way and they're all subtle differences. So I guess, how do you deal with those issues when they arise, even when they're little ones?
That's a very good question. I think with any issues like that, I think one of the first things to do is just like talk about it openly. Like you go to the gym and play against those guys. Like if you're confident enough to tell them like, hey, that's low-key disrespectful that you weren't guarding me or treating me differently because I'm a girl. Like maybe they think they're doing the right thing and being polite or whatever. You know, I think open communication about all that stuff is really important. One thing I try to do actually one thing I can't help but doing, I just like love women's basketball. Like love the WNBA, love the WNBL. I love supporting my friends and even the young girls and kids who play over here. Like, I think it kind of bums me out when people talk about supporting women's basketball like it's the right thing to do and all this stuff. I'm like, women's basketball is sick. It's not like the right thing to do. Like, it's the fun thing to do. You know what I mean? Like, just being super supportive of it. I think that is a helpful thing as well in the long run.
Yeah, I can relate to that. Even as a coach, watching the girls versus the boys, I'm like, man, these guys, but the girls, I'm like,
Can't
oh,
help
they're
it.
so
I love
good.
my girls.
Yeah, they're beginners, and I teach them one move, and they know it straight away. I'm like, and the guys, they're doing everything wrong. They've been playing for how long? I'm like, it's a simple drill. How do you guys not get it? Yeah. Girls
Yeah,
are
I
so
do a
good.
lot of coaching and training as well. And I noticed that similar stuff, not all the time, not to overgeneralize, but a lot of the time the girls are more focused and more able to learn new things, even if they're not as like skilled and athletic at first. There's something about that mentality. I noticed that too.
Yeah, it's really good. Okay, so about maybe 3 more questions. So what do you think you can bring to the table to help elevate women equality in sport or just in general as well?
These are very good questions.
They're not my questions. They're Kayla's
they're good
questions.
though.
So respect to Kayla for putting the questions together. But yeah.
Shout out to Kayla. Shout out to Kayla.
Yes.
They're good questions. Sorry, say it again. Now I'm all.
So the question was, what do you think you can bring to the table to help elevate women equality in sport or in general?
I think a lot of it is, it's little things that add up, you know. I think one thing is I try to do it playing myself. Like, I actually take a lot of pride in being a good basketball player, because like you said, if you're that one girl in the gym and you show up to play with the guys and then you kind of suck and they were right, like that doesn't help anything. Sometimes it's little stuff like that, like showing that girls can do that stuff. I think another thing that I bring to the table well is I generally think of myself as extremely confident. For example, that shootout with the Under Armour and the Curry brand, I knew plenty of girls who could have gone and won that. I know plenty of girls that could have gone and won that 10K, but they weren't there, they weren't participating or whatever it is. I have no problem being in front of all those people, beating all the boys, talking trash, doing what I have to do, speaking up about things. Like, I don't know, I think that little stuff, even just demonstrating that, like I said, there were young girls and young boys there who were like, wanted the girl to win. And I think, you know, being able to go out and talk to them and show that a girl can go beat all the boys. Like, I think those kind of little things along the way make a difference.
Yeah, I agree. Just being confident, being there, working on your own game, making sure that you're good enough for yourself and good enough to show everyone else just how good you are. Yeah.
And I know, sorry, one more little tidbit.
No, that's okay. Yeah.
When I was younger, I grew up in California. I was near like Stanford, that university, which has a sick basketball program. And I was lucky enough to like, you know, go to their camps and their games and like be the little girl mopping the floor at the games. And when I was younger, I would look at girls like that and be like, oh my God, I want to be doing that. They were like amazing to me. So I think us playing and you coaching and being a good role model for them does the same thing. Like, you got to see it to be able to be it.
Yeah, that's all we need. Role models, other women role models. Perfect. So one of my own personal questions is, how did you get the confidence to just, go out and do what you do? Was it something that you kind of were born with, or was it something that you gained along the way that you had to teach yourself?
That is a good question too. Probably a bit of both. trying to remember when I was younger. Actually, when I was younger, I was probably way, way more shy than I am now. Now I'll go up and talk to like any stranger anywhere, and it is what it is. I think one thing that makes me confident is like the work that I put into things. For example, the shootout. I was very confident to go out and do that because the day before I went and shot 400 threes at the gym, and I was like, no one else here did that, I'm sure. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I think you can't really, at least for me, I can't talk myself into being confident. Like, I have to go do the work and do the things and have some proof, you know?
Yeah. That's really good advice for anyone younger who's watching. Make sure you put the work in, and then you'll get that confidence. And then
You can't just BS yourself.
Yeah. Another question I have that's also my own is just, was there ever a time where you felt like you wanted to give up or like it was too hard? And if so, what gave you the motivation to keep going?
Okay, that's a good one. I've had a few times like that, especially being really challenged at college basketball, because I didn't have like the dream college basketball experience, which this is actually very common too, because the thing about going to college is you have 14-ish girls on a team who are all the stars of their high school basketball team, right? Small pond, you go into a bigger pond. And there's a lot of people who are not happy with their position and roles on the team. And I was often one of them. And I had injuries and mess and like didn't get a lot of playing time, blah, blah, blah. And there was a ton of hard work for like very little result at school. And by the end of it, I was just feeling like burnt out. My relationship with basketball wasn't as good, you know. And I did think about it. I was like, oh, maybe I need to just hang this up. Like I don't even enjoy going and hooping and working out anymore. Like it's killing me, you know what I mean? Because it was just so much work piled up. And I did give myself a little break, which is very weird for me. Didn't play basketball for like, when I say break, probably like 2 months. I didn't touch a basketball. But then I had a conversation with a good teacher and mentor, and I was describing the situation, how I kind of want to just give it up and go get a normal job or whatever. But then I could go to Australia and keep playing. And this teacher mentor basically, in less kind words, was like, you're an idiot. What are you talking about? Go play. Like, go play while you can. And I was like, we had a real conversation about it. And they were like, that's an amazing opportunity. You're a hooper. If my body still worked and I was still in my 20s, I would trade lives with you in a heartbeat. And I was just like, you're right. I need to keep chasing the dream. And now I feel like I love it more than ever. It changes a little bit, but sometimes you need to give yourself little breaks. You got to understand your own brain, what works for you. But that was what worked for me.
Yeah, I definitely understand that. You know, sometimes you need that little break, clear your mind, come back, and it's a new game. And yeah, happy that you
100%.
had that person in your life to put you back into the right direction as well. So just leading off that, I want to ask, is there, other than that person, a support system that have been there with you, or has it mostly been just going through it with yourself?
No, I definitely have some sick support system. I have a lot of friends, both in the States and here, that most of them I met through basketball. And then basketball too is like, it's just a mutual, it's like a common ground and common understanding. So like one of my best friends in the States, like I refer to her as my little sister. Like I can text her about any old thing that's happening, like on and off the court at any time of day. And like, you know, we just have each other's backs. And then my friend here, shout out to Alex in hoop school. same thing, like he lives and breathes basketball and we bond about that, but also other life stuff off the court. And it's the same thing, like whether it's a really exciting, good thing or like had a rough practice, got this injury going on, like it's good to have people like that you can turn to and connect with and be there for them as well. Like if they're dealing with some mess, they should be able to come to you and you have their back at the same time. But I think that for me, that makes a huge difference because I can make the mistake of trying to shoulder everything by myself and just act like I'm all good and, you know, put on a smile and be all good. But when you really care about something, like it gets hard sometimes. So it's good to have the support system.
Yeah, I think it's definitely good to have someone, at least one person that you can go to talk about whatever you need and to hopefully that they're there for you and actually listen in. So yeah, I think that's really good that you have people that you
Absolutely.
can go to. And our last question for the day, what advice can you give to a young woman who has aspirations in becoming a great basketball player or just achieving a goal unrelated to basketball?
Oh, there would be so much advice. We could do a whole other podcast probably.
Yeah.
I think I was just reading, I like to read. I was reading Chris Bosch's book. And one of the things he talks about is like doing the work. And one of the things he keeps saying is it takes what it takes. And I think that is really simple, but it's actually really good advice. And it might be different for different people. So you might, in basketball context, you might not be born 7 feet tall and be able to jump out of the gym and have all that stuff naturally. I don't have any of that stuff naturally. I'm not a natural super athlete by any means. So for you, it might take a little bit more. You might have to set different standards and maybe be a little bit different from the people that you hang around. I had that a lot, like in high school, you know, people would call me crazy and doing all this extra stuff. But I was like, well, I want to be different from you. I want to be better than you, to be honest. So I have to do some different things, which means like missing school dances and committing to this goal that you have and not just kind of halfway doing it. That was a bunch of jumbled stuff, but it takes what it takes. You got to put in a lot of work and it might be inconvenient at times.
Definitely. I love that saying. It takes what it takes. I'm going to write that down. I'm going to keep reminding myself.
I liked it too.
Yeah, it's really good. As soon as you said it, I'm like, I like that one. Anyways, thank you so much for your time, Zoe. That's all we have for today. I wish you all the best moving forward. And thank you to everyone else for tuning into this session of the Women's Panel. And stay tuned as we will have more guests in the future. So yeah.